Hello, my fellow property manager friends. Happy 2023. If you're watching this video at the time it came out, this is our first video of 2023. It is also our 150th video like this, educational property management video. That just blows my mind. It blows my mind. So I've got 4 kids. My 2 youngest are, they're young teens, and one's not even a teenager, and they're into the social media stuff. And my daughter says to me, she says, "Dad, do you realize that you have 3,000 subscribers to your little channel?" And I said, "No, I don't really pay attention to that." And she's like, "What? Dad, you got to do something. Do you realize that you've had I don't know what it is, 250,000 views or minutes watched?" I said, "No, I don't." She's like, "Dad, you got to do something. You got to thank your subscribers and thank the people that watch this." I said, "I have to thank them?" She said, "Yeah, you got to thank them." I said, I don't get it. Shouldn't they be thanking me? Why am I thanking them for watching the video?" I say, "I just don't think that way." She's like, "Dad, you don't get it." I know I don't get it. She's like, "Dad, so this person said they binge watch all of your things, and this person does that, and this person's watched 100 videos. You got to thank them. You got to give them a message." So here's my message. If you have binge watched all of these videos, and if you just can't wait and you stay up late at night to watch the next one, here's my message to you. Get a life. Really? That's what you get excited about, is watching property management educational videos on collecting rent? Oh, what's wrong with this world? But thank you for subscribing. I don't think I've ever asked for someone to subscribe. I just don't think that way. But so here's, on behalf of my daughter, hey, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and never miss another video from me. Now I'll get 3,002 subscribers, or we'll see. So, Happy New Year. Let's talk, as we hit the new year, about this idea of, can you collect a whole bunch of rent up front? This is something that's played with around the edges. So the idea is this: you have a property for rent. Let's pretend it's renting for $1,000 a month. So the yearly annual rent would be $12,000. And maybe somebody applies and you don't know if you want to approve them or not. They're kind of borderline. Then they say this: "Hey, I can pay a year of rent up front. I can pay you the whole year." You think, well, great, isn't it? Maybe not. So let me share some pros and cons of the idea of basically accepting prepaid rents in a full amount. And what do we have to keep in mind? Because you can do it, but you got to be careful, or you will get yourself in trouble by doing that. So let me share with you, first of all, the pros. And there's just really one that I can think of, and that's simply the risk of them not paying goes away. Because that's the risk of property management, isn't it? What happens in month 4 if they don't pay rent? What happens in month 9 if they lose their job and they stop paying? That's the risk. Well, if we take that full year of rent up front, poof, all of our problems are solved. Or are they, as it relates to rent collection? Well, let's look at some of the cons, the downsides, the things to be aware of if you're going to do this. So number 1, fair housing. Oh, there it is. If you're going to offer the ability to accept prepayment of a full year of rent for that person, you kind of got to offer that ability to accept full prepayment of rent to offset some credit issues to everybody. And we typically don't do that, right? On our application pages, we don't say, "Oh, but if you can't qualify and you can pay a year of rent, then we'll take it." So you just got to be cautious there to make sure that you're not violating any potential fair housing issues by giving this person the opportunity to prepay a full year, but not that person over there. So watch out for that. That's a risk. Secondly, owner distribution issues. So if you do collect that $12,000 of annual rent on day 1 of the lease, how do you distribute it to that owner client? Do you give it all to them immediately? Because if you do, that creates some potential problems, because now what happens in month 4 when the faucet breaks? The owner has to send you money. You have no money coming in every month from the tenant. Are you going to take your management fee all up front? What are the options as far as payout that way? Also, how do you administer that? In other words, do you just take it all and treat it as rent due? Because there's some legal issues there. It may not actually be due yet per the terms of the lease, because only $1,000 is due on January 1st, and another $1,000 isn't due until February 1st. So can you take it all? And can you distribute it all to the owner? Can you take a management fee on all of it? Or maybe you can put it in a separate trust account, your security deposit trust account, and just take out the monthly payment and transfer it to yourself. Check with your attorney. Maybe that's an option. But you've got to figure out how to administer that. And then the big risk, or the con, is lease termination issues. If the tenant moves out mid-lease term for a legal reason, can you retain the full rent that you had previously collected? Because you're required by law to attempt to re-rent the property as quickly as possible to mitigate any damages or loss to the tenant. So do you have to end up refunding that rent? These are all legitimate questions that we want to take into consideration. Now, I think there's one overarching potential solution to a lot of this, but before I share that with you, I want to thank the sponsor for our first video of 2023, Upkeep Media. What's your marketing plan? How are you bringing owner leads into you? How are they finding you online? You've got to be findable. That's what Upkeep Media can help you do by generating incoming leads from owner clients. They do it through social media. They do it through your website. They do it through the SEO, all those things that we know we should be doing that we're like, yeah, I don't really have time to do that. They can help. So jump on their website, upkeepmedia.com. Tell them Mark sent you. They will give you a free analysis of your marketing package, and they will help you not only, they won't show you what to do, but they'll help you do it as well. Okay, back to the idea of collecting rent. If you're going to collect prepaid rent up front, here's my suggestion to you, and it's simply this. In the lease agreement itself, you want to show the rent due as the full term rent. Here's what I mean by that. So, $1,000 a month. The tenant says, hey, I can pay 12 grand up front, a full year rent. And so you say, okay, great. So you just write the lease, the rent's $1,000 a month, but you're just going to give, you got to give me 12,000, and they give you 12,000. That's where a lot of those problems come in place. What you may have wanted to have done instead is change the terms of the lease so that the lease term now reads this. The lease will begin on January 1st. The lease will expire on December 31st. The rents due for this term shall be $12,000 due upon January 1st, the move-in date. See, we did away with the whole provision that talked about the rent due per month, because rent is not due per month in this instance. One rent payment of $12,000 is due on the first day. It's due upon move-in. Now, this is done in the commercial world all the time. When we rent to commercial tenants, if they're kind of shaky on their income or their credit, we're not quite sure, we will require them to prepay 3, 6, 9, 12 months of rent, but we write it into the lease so that it's a term payment due. You find yourself getting into trouble when you say, I'm going to pre-collect rent of $12,000, but the rent is only $1,000 per month. No, don't do it that way. The rent is $12,000 for the term, all due in one payment on the first day of the lease. Now, this doesn't negate all of those risks and how you're going to deal with it. You still got to figure out how the owner gets it, but it takes away a lot of the risks that way. Now, I'm not an attorney. Check with your attorney, make sure you got it all proper in your lease agreement, but this is a really important thing to make sure you're doing in any of the instances where you are pre-collecting rent in advance. My friends, how else can we help you? Jump on our website, pmbuild.com. You'll find more information and obviously more videos, and you can binge watch those videos. And of course, don't forget to click the little picture right now on your screen. I think it's a picture of me, and you can subscribe to this video. I'll be so curious to see if more than 3 people subscribe after this video comes out. But my friends, I wish you success for this next year, and I will see you in 2 weeks.